This is the plaintiff, Anila. She says she hired the defendant to fix her central air conditioning unit. And he told her the motor was blown and she needed to replace it. She paid him. He took out the old motor and never finished the job. The man's a rip-off artist who preyed on her. He stole her money and she's suing him for every penny of the $5,000 she's now owed. This is the defendant, Santino Tomeno. He says he arrived at the plaintiff's with the new motor he purchased and asked for a check before he installed it. She told him to install the motor and she would send him a check at a later date, and he explained he doesn't work that way. And when he went to leave, the plaintiff's husband blocked his exit. Then they accused him of stealing their old broken motor. The cops were called, and now here they are, crazy lady. He's accused of getting things hot. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,002.81 for all he's out.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Anila, you've asked us not to mention your last name. You're suing Tomato Appliance Repair, represented here by Santino Tomeno, the owner, for $5,000 that you say you will have to spend on a new AC motor. He is counterclaiming against you $4,002.81 for wasting his time, slander, loss of work, and motor he bought. What happened here?
On July 25th, my husband called one of the company, which just happened to be his company, Santino Tomato, and my central air conditions was not working. So he came over Monday. He looked at it. He said my compressor was okay, my thermostat was okay, just the motor, because he couldn't feel the air. So he said that the motor might not be working. So while he just peeked in the attic, and I said that just make sure that my attic does not have a beam. And he said, yeah, I know. I mean, I've been in the attic before. So he literally didn't.
In that attic or in attics?
Yeah, in the other's attic. Okay. So he went and said, all right, we gave him $50, and he gave us a receipt. His estimate was $650, including his $50 estimate. So I said, all right, when me and my husband decide, I'll call you. So after like 30 minutes, I called him. I said, Santino, I think you're going to do the job. So he said that you need to give me $250. And I said, all right, if I have money, and I'll give you a call. So obviously, at that time, I wasn't ready for $250, so I didn't call him. So he came in next day, and he went in the attic. And before he was going to the attic, I just tell him again, just make sure that, there is no beam, because I wanted to be safe, So he went and he pulled out the machine, and while he was there, I peeked in, I said, do you need any help? He said, lady, when I need help, I'll let you know. I said, okay. All right. So he was working. So after like 40 minutes, he came down and furious. He said, lady, you stop cheating on me. What do you think I am? How come you didn't tell me there is no beam? I said, I told you there is no beam. So he pulled the machine. I said, you know what, let me take the picture of the machine, because he was saying it might take a couple of days to bring in to order the machine. And so I said, here's your $250. And he said, I'll come back in a couple of days. So Wednesday night, evening, I called him. I said, did you find the machine? Yeah, just to make sure that he found the machine. He said, yes, he found the machine. So then at the end said, all right, so how much are you going to give me tomorrow if I come in? I said, well, whatever the balance is, $350. I said, no, you're not going to give me $350. You owe me more. I said, how do I owe you more? I said, Santino, and at that time he was like furious with all this, and he was degrading me, all that. I said, Santino, what time are you coming in tomorrow? And he said, all right, I'll be there at 7 o'clock, 7:30. So I took a day off. My husband took a day off because and then I called him, I called him 8:40. I said, Santino, where are you? And he said, I'm not doing it, I'm not coming in. I said, what do you mean? What happened? He said that, no, I don't want to do any business with you, and I'm done, and I don't want to replace the motor.
So how much are you out, the $250?
I gave him $300 total, and then the rest of the...
because the $50 for the estimate, and then $200.
$250 for...
And $250, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then why are you suing for $5,000?
Friday he came in. He had to come in.
Oh, he did come in?
Yes, Friday he came in.
And does he do the job?
No, he came in, and my husband said, where's the machine? Where's the motor? He said that he went straight up, and he said, I'm here to get my ladder.
And then he left.
And I'm trying to stop him. I said, where's my motor? My husband said, where's the money? And he said that I'll give you the check in the car. So while he sat in the car, he pushed my husband.
Okay, where's your husband? Is he here? Does he want to testify?
Actually, as me, mainly, it's me and him talked a lot.
You just talked about him assaulting your husband and pushing him to the ground.
Well, yeah, he did.
I kind of want to hear that.
He can come
What's going on?
Your Honor, I got a call on the 24th of July. They had a broken air conditioner. I told them it's $50 to come in and check it. made an appointment for the next day. I went there. There was her and her husband there. So I told them if the motor with the brackets and everything, the capacitor and the labor is $650. The air conditioner, if you need the Freon, if you need it, would be $100 additional. I left with the $50. She called me. I was at AT&T store. She says, I'm coming right now. I'm going to give you a $250 deposit. I sat there with the gentleman for 45 minutes, and I called her. I says, where are you? I mean, I'm sitting here. I would have just came back, got the money, and then, moved on. She says, no, I'm not coming. I never said I'm coming. I says, yes. You said you want the job done, and you were bringing me the deposit. But all right, just forget it. So I left. Then the husband called me the following day to do the job. I went there. I went up in the attic, took out the motor, getting everything ready.
I have a question. When you go up in the attic, was there a problem that you had not anticipated?
No, not at all. I've
Okay.
gone into attics all the time. That's where your evaporator and your central air is.
Okay.
They're all in the attics. And she told me when I was first there that I have to, what kind of mechanic am I? Why don't I bring wood to walk on, up in the attic? I said, I don't need that. I walk on the beams. And she kept saying, well, you're not a good mechanic. Everybody comes with wood. When I got up there, the unit was all in pieces. So I says to her, I says, hey, you didn't tell me someone was already up here taking this whole thing apart, but it didn't matter. It's not a big deal.
It shouldn't matter because your little gopher head needed to have looked at that when you were
Oh,
estimating.
no, you can't say it. It was all the way on the other side of the...
Well, you could if you walked up there and
See.
estimated the job. I mean, like,
Well,
in other
I
words,
didn't
did you
have to.
underquote the job, do you feel?
No,
Oh,
not at all.
okay.
It was $650.
So
That's
what
how
were
I
you
make a
guys
profit.
arguing about?
There was no
Why did
argument.
you guys get so nasty with each other? What
It
happened?
wasn't. She was upset about the fact that I didn't bring up beams.
Okay.
Doing this like my whole life. My whole family's in service. So I went over there. I took it all apart, bring it downstairs. I said, you have to give me $250. She says, no, I'll give it to you when you come back. I says, all right. So I left the ladder.
So you didn't get the $250 that day, according to you?
No, she didn't give me
Do you
the
have the
money.
check, the canceled check?
No, not the check. I gave him cash. See, that's the thing. I don't have the proof.
Okay.
of
Nobody
$250.
gives me cash without a receipt, Your Honor.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
lots of people do business that way.
But
I
anyway,
wouldn't.
she didn't give it
Do you
to
have
me.
a receipt for the
No,
$250?
he did not.
So you handed cash without getting a receipt?
He had my machine. I said, well, where's he going to go? And he was...
Well, where's he going to go? Here's what you do. You grab the nearest roll of toilet paper and the nearest crayon, and you write down that you gave him $250.
Yeah.
Are you denying she gave you the $250?
She never gave me no.
Yeah,
No,
that's
she
what
just
he's
gave me
denying.
$50. When I took the whole
So
thing
you're denying
apart,
she gave you $250?
I went downstairs. I left the
Yes or
ladder.
no? Are you denying she gave you $250?
Yes, she never gave me $250.
But are you saying she didn't give it to you that day, or are you saying
She never gave me anything but $50. That's all they gave me.
You need to tell me why you didn't finish the job.
When I went back to do the job, I didn't feel right. I said, you're going to pay me after the job's done? She goes, no, we're going to mail you a check in a week or so after the job's done. I said, no, I don't work that way. You got to pay me today. I said, matter of fact, with the way it's been going, you got to pay me right now. Then I'm going to go do the job, and we're finished, and we'll be happy.
So you wanted
Warranty-
to get the entire payment for everything
Before I went up
before
there now.
going up
right,
there.
at this
Okay.
point. So they started fighting with me, the both of them, and I went upstairs, I got the ladder, and I left. And then when I was leaving, he came running out, the husband. He's like, well, give me my old parts, give me this, give me that. I took it all apart, took out the motor, gave him all the parts. He wouldn't let me get in my car. I says, look, get away from my car. I want to go home. I want to out of here. I'm not dealing with you and your wife. There's something wrong with both of you. It's not my business. And I took the parts. I went to the other side of the car. I put them on the floor in the street. And then I said, there's your parts. Sign here. He signed a piece of paper that I gave him the parts. I went in my car and got the heck out of there.
Did you push him?
Never touched him. Also,
Did he fall?
What?
Did he fall?
Absolutely not. I never touched him. He's a customer. Never touched him.
And according to you, they never gave you $250?
No, just $50.
And you gave them their motor back?
I gave him the motor, the brackets, everything.
Okay.
All
Now,
the old
according to
stuff.
you, the motor he gives you is not your motor, and you can prove that. Why?
I have a picture.
Okay.
And there's a picture of his tool and his hat. And
I don't need the tool and the hat, but I'd like to
he's
see how
complaining
you
that,
decide, how you deduce that that's not your motor is what I
and
want
this
to
is
do.
the motor that he gave. This is the motor. That he
Okay,
gave.
how are you looking at that and saying that's not the motor?
Well,
'Cause
because
what?
it's missing the side of it, and it's just not it.
Okay, so take a look at those pictures that she says she took when you brought it down.
I saw the pictures, Your Honor, but I'd like to see the motor that she's talking about.
Okay.
And she don't have all the parts here.
What does she have, just part of the parts?
She has just the main motor. When you have a motor with two blowers with a bracket.
So what you're saying is that you left her more than that?
Yes. Just if that's just a motor, I can't see from here.
Okay, can you lift what you have there? Or is it too
So
heavy?
here it is, Your Honor. I have the new one right here.
Is that all you are saying that he left there?
That's all he gave me.
That's her own motor.
Nothing but the truth.
There was
Okay.
more pieces with it because I didn't put it all
Nothing.
together. I just wanted it out of there.
Why doesn't it look like the picture?
Oh, Your Honor, I'll explain it simple. When I took it down, then I would go to the shop and I would match up a motor, taking her brackets off and her parts. The blowers, the two blowers that you see left and right, and when you take them off, you're left with this, which
Okay.
is that motor.
So
That
what-
is her exact motor.
And you're
because-
saying she didn't bring the blowers?
Right, she's missing
But
the other
you left
pieces
her
that
the
I
blowers?
left. Yes, I left them.
Okay, and you're unable to provide any, do you have any emails, texts, anything that would prove that you paid $250?
I don't. That's the
How about
thing,
your
that's-
husband? That would be helpful if he'd help you out.
At that day, when I was giving him $250, my husband was not there.
You have a counterclaim against her for $4,002.81. How come?
I paid for the motor, the bracket, the capacitor.
The motor's $219, according to you.
Right, then my tools that were left up in the attic, which I was afraid to go up there to get,
But didn't you get them?
no, they're up there.
Why do you leave your tools behind?
Your Honor, I would have had to climb up there, both going bananas on me. I would have had to climb
No, why
up-
do you leave them behind to begin with?
Oh, because I just forgot them.
Amount owed for time wasted, $720.
Yeah, I had to go.
$28 for gas, $2,500 for slander. Tell me about that.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, she doesn't have any receipt or anything like that. But if she seems believable, is that enough or is she screwed?
You know what? This is a textbook receipt case. We should not believe her unless there's receipts.
But you could believe her, but is that enough to give her the verdict?
Not if it's not on paper.
It has to be on paper. You're saying?
I agree. It has to be on paper. I mean, if she doesn't have any,
What if she's super believable?
still has to be on paper.
Okay, I think you're all right going inside the courtroom.
Slander was, she went to Consumer Affairs and made a complaint, and when you make a complaint to Consumer Affairs, it's an unfounded complaint. They hold that against you. No matter what happens, it's always there on your record. So if you call and want to know
So's your
about-
response, right?
Right.
Can I have the box and the motor? So are you able to return this?
No, not at all. It's electrical part. Plus that, if you look at the ends of the motor shaft, that's where the brackets were already put on, the blowers. So it's actually, it's like a used motor now.
It's your word against his on whether the blower wheels were on this thing. You're saying they weren't, he's saying they were. Do you or don't you want to bring your husband in here?
I can bring it in.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sure.
When I went back to do the job, Your Honor, it was all ready to go. Pop it in. That's
Yeah,
it.
I
was done.
understand. But
was
that's
finished.
what you took with you. You didn't leave that there. So
I took my motor and I gave them
so
the
you
old
took it
motor.
all apart while you were arguing
two
with the guy?
bolts. Two
Right, they're
bolts.
saying you didn't. I need her.
2.5 seconds.
Your husband refuses to come out here. So sometimes people glean something from that. Okay?
No,
Like he doesn't want to perjure himself. So I've got your word against his, and I have no idea whether or not those things were left behind or weren't left behind. But when you're suing for them, I have to be able to be persuaded that you are telling the truth, that those pieces weren't left behind. That would be your only cause of action, is I have to buy new blowers, which you are not bringing me a price for. What you're doing instead is suing for the absolute maximum. You can't prove you gave him $250. You didn't get a receipt. He denies you gave him the $250. He has always maintained that on the last day what he said was, I need my $650, which indicates that, he doesn't believe that you gave him $250. And then you are in the same position you were in before, which is you have a broken AC. Because if you didn't know the kind of motor you should have, and I don't know why if that is the same motor, I now took pictures of this motor, which is the one that he bought in order to put in there. So now you should be able to fix your AC with no problem. Why would I ever make him pay you $5,000 on a job that you quote at $650 or a little more? Why would I make him pay you $5,000? That seems unreasonable, which is what he's saying about you. Now, prove to me what blowers cost.
I don't know.
Right. So you're in a position where you want me to find that he didn't give it to you, even though it's your word against his and your husband refuses to come out. That's one. Two, you're in a position where you're like, I get $5,000 because there's no blowers, but you're not proving to me that blowers cost $5,000. Okay? Where do you think this is going? On your lawsuit against him, 0. And on your lawsuit against her, the majority of which is for slander, that's her opinion that you left the job. How do you not have a receipt for the $250?
That's what I'm saying. That's the only proof I don't have, and that's when he
That's the
changed.
only but that's
and
the only
that's
thing I
when
would
he
have given
started,
you.
and that's why he took all the excuses. And
I don't know what you're
even-
talking about. The $250 doesn't leave this hand until he, gives you the receipt. That's how business works. As for your lawsuit against him, I find that you're unable to sustain your burden of proof that he stole the blowers, which is the first time I hear this, by the way. And I find on your counterclaim against her, 0 also, because I have no idea which of you is telling the truth.
Judge, someone calls me in to do a job. That's what I'm there for.
Are you just going to repeat the same stuff?
Well,
Yeah.
that's not,
You know what? I think that what happened is she rubbed you the wrong way.
No,
and,
she didn't.
No, she did. And then she rubbed you the wrong way and kept rubbing you the wrong way. And then you finally had it. And you said, you know what? I'm not working. I don't have to work for you. I'm not going to work for you.
Judge, I was there ready to
I'm
do the
not
job.
asking you to say another word.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah. So on her lawsuit against you, you're not sustaining your burden of proof. On his counterclaim against you, you're not sustaining your burden of proof. Goodbye, folks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So after a lot of arguments, a lot of accusations, it ends up a nothing tie. Nobody wins anything here today.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you'd have let your husband come in, it might have helped a lot. But you didn't want to, so you get nothing.
He was coughing a lot. That's why he was.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago.
No, he's still coughing.
How do you know?
That's why, because he had a cold.
You hear him coughing?
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't hear him
That's what I
coughing,
mean.
but
He's
he's
not
been
coughing
coughing.
now. The bottom line is, it hurt your case.
Well, he can come in if he wants to. I mean, if he,
Too late. Case is over now. The judge invited you to bring him in. You said no. Boom. Case over. Sorry, you lost.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Goodbye. She still doesn't have an air conditioner that works, by the way. Now here comes the defendant out. You know, you got to learn to shut up a little bit in front of a judge. You really do.
I wanted to make
hurting
her
your case,
understand.
too,
I wanted her
okay?
just to understand.
Well, anyway, you lost too.
I know.
Okay? So
Lost a lot of wasted time and everything else, but
I
they were
agree.
just trying to swindle me.
what about your tools? You said they were still up in her attic.
Yeah.
Did you get them back?
No, they're still there.
Well, you're out.
I know.
You're out your tools? You're out
That's
everything.
all right. Not a big deal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
At least
Have a
you're
great
pretty
day.
jovial about it anyway. Harvey?
So the person who brings the case has to kind of tip the scales like 51-49. Neither did it here in the suit or countersuit. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.